6 feet away or 10 feet away. And because of COVID, the board had wanted them to be 10 feet away. And the court ruled that they have to be allowed to be 6 feet away. They are inside. They are watching. There is no lack of transparency. And I was in Philadelphia and have been covering this whole thing and questioning all of these issues. And Pete Williams and our court people are saying the same thing. That's not what was decided by the court.
And two things just very quickly. There is... at this point, I don't know. I understand he was talking to people who are close to the president and he's reflecting that position. I just think it's important that we say right now the preponderance of public comments about this from Republicans don't really reflect that. I mean, if you look at the way they've handled the president in the past and you compare it to what they're doing right now, they are not lining up behind him the way they often do. So that is one piece of this. The other piece of this is, I would say, there is no evidence that, I mean, Republican turnout was off the charts. More people voted for President Trump this time than voted for him in 2016. I mean, there is not any evidence that there was depressed turnout for any particular reason among Republicans. The opposite, in fact, to the point that it's how Democrats are in some ways explaining their unexpected losses. They're saying we assumed all these new voters would vote for us, when in fact we should have assumed, oh, actually Republicans could bring new voters into the process, because the reality is they did.
Well, and I just want to say, because Hugh, you and I had a little back and forth about this, I'm paraphrasing, but this is an actual quote from the president. He says, if you count the legal votes, I easily win. So I think that, you know, the clear implication there is that he's saying, if I'm losing, then there must be something illegal afoot. And but we hear you, and it's you know, we value having you on because we want to hear what folks are telling you and how Republicans are feeling about these various positions that that are being taken here.
And Maria, we don't want to leave you hanging.
I don't want to.
Oh.
Yeah,
Let's do a factor, Lester. Look, listen, I mean, I think if we level with each other, I, for the last 16 years, have spent my life dedicating to increasing the vote, encouraging every single person to go out, to register, to vote. And for the first time, we see a surge in youth voters, and they are making a marked difference in Georgia. We are talking about 2,500 vote spread in Georgia, less than 10,000 in Nevada. When people say that the vote doesn't matter, this election is showing not only does it matter, but it's going to be critical to our thriving democracy. Juxtapose that to a president who is saying stop the counting in one city and saying continue the counting in another. And he's trying to delegitimize the process of our democracy in a way that every single person should just abhor. When he is saying that these votes don't count, you are talking about places that you have a Democrat and a Republican right next to each other verifying those ballots. What do you say to those individuals, those party faithfuls, when you have a Democrat and a Republican side by side, saying, pouring their life out right now? I mean, none of us have had too much sleep, but they haven't either, with the scrutiny of not just their immediate community, but the world. And you're telling them that what they're doing is a farce? That's not only unfair, but it delegitimizes the process that we all deeply believe in. And if we are to level with each other, the moment that we stop believing in the process, that is when you actually have nefarious activity. What the president did tonight was not just an injustice to the people who stood in line, who voted despite the pandemic, the people right now that are not seeing their families because they're counting those ballots, but is a disservice to our democracy and to the office of the president. He knows better. And this is something that he was projecting long before. He was encouraging his people to vote in person because he knows that Democrats vote by mail. When he's saying that the process to stop the counting, it's in places that he knows that by court of law, that as long as there are ballots being counted and postmarked before Election Day, they count. It always has. He's trying to change the rules that have been established by Democrats and Republicans. And if it has to go to the court, he should have the decency of saying, I don't believe that this piece of this election right here was legitimate. I'm going to take it to the courts, because you know what? He's not the first one to contest an election, but the way he's using his office is absolutely unacceptable for us. And we should demand and expect better. And I congratulate all those new voters, the people that came out, regardless of who they voted for, because that is what makes our democracy strong.
Hugh, you want to get one last word in on that?
Well, I just go back to what the first question is. What are Republicans thinking? They're thinking they had a very good night on Tuesday night, thanks in part to Donald Trump. They got at least 210 to maybe 214 members of the House, and they applaud his focus on polling, which they believe suppressed their contribution and their voter. And this is why I think we ought to carry every minute of every presidential speech, because people are hearing different things when they don't get to hear the president. That's what I think is my message, and we have to disagree on the legitimacy of his argument.
He does. The reason that the networks cut away is that we know that he uses this as an ability for him to shape message with misinformation. The majority of the times that he actually gets on here, he's not responsible, neither on Twitter, neither on Facebook. There has never been a president where people had to censor.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. We're going to have to leave it there. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you guys each other's text, and you can continue this off camera. Hugh, thank you so much. Maria Teresa, appreciate you too. Appreciate it.